Hi, everyone. This is Norman Kochnick here on Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick, or Eyes on Sports with the logo with a Z on the end. I'm here today. Well, aren't we lucky? We've got nothing to watch on, in our case, Prime Video, because the Australia versus South Africa match, which is in the ICC Champion Trophy little locker of games, is not on. There's been a rain delay in RAWALPINDI, or as they call it, Pindi. They're all sitting there scratching their heads at the moment. And boy, you can come and listen to us, guys. I know it'll take a bit of time before you start listening. We've got 14 viewers already. So we're gonna start to talk to you today about the ICC Champions Trophy, which, quite frankly, guys, I don't know why the hell we've got it, but we'll get into that later. Champions of what? What are they champions of? I thought the concept Champions Trophy means champions from all over the world get together and play in a Champions Trophy. Well, I don't see that with this at all, and I'm a little bit confused. I'll go through that in a minute about how long they are apart. But I wanted to introduce two guests I've got on my show who, by the way, have got their own super duper platform called At the Cricket Club YT, which is YouTube. At the Cricket Club YT. We'll talk about it a lot. You can see it on the bottom of the screen there. Eyes on Sports with, but you'll know one of the people very well. A little bit boring, as we know. You know, he's a bit dull. He's a pommy. We can't help that. But his name is, of course, Chris Vernon. And all the girls that are joining us are probably watching him specifically. How are you, Chris?
Yeah, morning, Norman. I'm good. It's been a little while since I've been on with you, but no, it's nice to be back, and thanks for having myself and Karl. No, I'm excited.
No worries. And I'll say the better looking half, Chris won't agree. Karl Pearson, how are you?
Very good, Norm. Great pleasure to be on, matey. And I've been hearing a lot about the channel from Chris for the last couple of years, and been really looking forward to coming on and getting stuck into everything cricket.
I have to ask the obvious question. I hope you got the right answer here, Karl. Have you subscribed to my channel?
I haven't, Norm, but I will.
Where's the delete button? I can't. You'll find. We'll get to that later. All right. Now, thanks, guys, for joining us. We're going to talk about, obviously, the Champions Trophy, which is now a wet, hot mess there in Rawalpindi. We're also going to talk heavily about the future of the channel at the Cricket Club YT, because I think that has got a great platform. They've already had three Bonza guests. They've had the likes of Sam Billings, Zach Crawley, and Northeast, or was it Southwest? Who was the third person?
It's Northeast.
Sam Northeast.
Sorry, Stan Northeast. I hope you're not watching. I apologise. I wasn't well informed about you. But they're all from Kent. We certainly know how well. We've got Rajesh here. Hello, guys. What's up? Rajesh, what's going on? Because we can talk about the Australia-South Africa match, because it hasn't started. The toss hasn't even happened. So worth watching the show. All right. So, guys, I'm going to get your point of view in a minute. But I wanted to just start by talking about the championship trophy and its worthiness. Now, I've already had a few games which we've discussed the game, but I wanted to just bring up a little set of stats that I've got here, which floored me a bit. This tournament, guys, you chirp in whenever you want to. This started in 1998, and the first winner was South Africa. Now, that is the only tournament at an ICC level that South Africa have bloody well won, by the way, just to let you know. They've won no World Test Championships. They've won no T20 and no ODI Championships in the ICC format at all. The only one was the very first Champions Trophy, which they can hang that on. Quite frankly, male and female cricket from South Africa are jinxed by these finals. So that was the first one out. Then you go through, do you guys know they were every 2 years to start with? They were every 2 years. And they had 2000, New Zealand won, 2002 was jointly between Sri Lanka and India. I can't remember what happened there, but they both shared it. 2004 was West Indies. And then all of a sudden, 06, Australia started winning in 2006. So they won their first. But then there was a 3-year gap to 2009. Australia won again. Then we went to a 4-year gap to 2013. And then that year, India won. We went 4 years to 17. Pakistan won. And now it's been 8 years since our last ICC Championship trophy. And I'm very glad it's in Pakistan mostly. And of course, it's not decided yet who will win that. But the UAE and Pakistan are sharing it. What I'm finding unusual, we're 2 to 3 to 4, now 8. Where is this championship trophy heading? I personally think it doesn't have much sense because they're not champions playing against each other. They're just a random selection of 8 teams, in my opinion. So what I'll open up, Chris. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I guess it's now a 4 yearly tournament. The only thing I can think of was 2021 was maybe a COVID year, and trying to get cricket back on the global scale. It might have just been delayed because of the world was coming back out of COVID. Yeah, it's an interesting debate at the moment, isn't it, about the way that white ball and 50 over cricket is going, and I don't know the answer to that. I think that there's obviously a space for it, but there's just so much cricket involved now with franchises. It'll be interesting to see what the governing bodies think. Obviously, they're going to keep the World Cup, but do you have room in the schedule for another 50 over tournament as well? We'll just have to see. But yeah, it's obviously great that Pakistan have it. I've got my own opinions on the fact that India get to call the shots and have all their games in Dubai on different wickets and then move the final around if they get through as well. But that's probably for another day. But I guess from a cricket fan, it's good to see international cricket being played. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a 4 yearly tournament now, depending on how they look at it going forward.
Karl, what do you think of that? What's your thoughts?
Well, I don't think it's for another day. Firstly, Norm, I think the show's about the Champions Trophy, and we're here to talk about the Champions Trophy. And you know what Chris has tried to politically say is, why are we bending over for the Indians to play in Dubai, which is the elephant in the room, isn't it? It's a tournament that for the greater good of the sport has gone to Pakistan, and half the tournament is now played somewhere else. The hosts had to travel yesterday to play in their own tournament, had to travel overseas to play in Dubai, and it all seems to me like a bit of a mess. Coupled with the fact, to answer your original question, of it's got no relevance as a tournament, has it? To me, it's got no relevance at all as a tournament. It's a bolt-on, an add-in tournament. As you said, it's been wedged in the program 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 8 years, 5 years, whatever it is. It's an add-on. It's a money-making scheme for the ICC. Clearly, it's got no relevance. It's the League Cup or the Carabao Cup version of in football. No one takes it seriously too much, and nobody remembers the winners. It's great for us to watch while we're here. Great for us to watch the games, but ultimately, it's a tournament that probably could do with not being in the program, because the players have got a million games to play. The program book is full with T20 franchises all over the world, test matches, test match championships, World Cups. Have we got time for this? Probably not.
I totally agree. Look, the thing that really gets me is that look at the way the Australians didn't take this seriously. They haven't taken it seriously. Pat Cummins is not there. He's got personal reasons. So is Mitchell Starc. They're claiming injuries. I don't think they're injured at all. They're having a rest. Okay, let's be honest.
They haven't got personal reasons, Norm. Let's be honest about it for people watching, which is what people tune in for. Is 2 or 3 weeks ago, Mitchell Starc was hosting the Women's Ashes with his wife. On TV, happy as Larry, talking about how great life was. And the week after, they've got personal issues that it means he can't play for Australia. Well, the fact of the matter is, as you just said, I agree with you, is they've got a lot of cricket coming up. They're already, my guess is that the Aussies are already planning for the Ashes, saving miles on the clock for bowlers, for what they consider to be, and we as Englishmen consider to be, the pinnacle of the sport coming up in November down in Aussie, which is the Ashes, and they're already starting to prepare for it.
Hang on, Karl. Are you trying to tell me that your team's got any hope in hell of winning down in Australia? What you trying?
Look, a famous saying, Norm, from Star Wars is, these things are built on hope. If we haven't got any hope, what's the point in being involved in cricket? I've turned up for many a game, hoping to see Chris score runs, and and been disappointed, pretty much every
I
time.
went to the MC, not the MC, I went to Lords to watch him play, for God's sake.
And I got, you did. I didn't get any runs on that day either.
You're going to be waiting a long time to wait for this bloke to score runs, Norm. But, as Englishmen, we are the eternal optimists. We're getting thumped in the ICC trophy. We got 350 and still couldn't win the other day. We've probably got a very small chance down under.
Now, this could be clever of you to say you could be twisting it around. I know this reverse psychology mumbo jumbo. I'll get this. Now, look,
I think England is.
We're getting comments. Here we go. Here's a question. Answer this one, guys. England should have had Sam Curran.
I'll answer this, Richard. Thanks very much for joining in. I had an argument yesterday with somebody that said I don't get the Jamie Smith selection for England whatsoever. Tom Banton's been in great form all over the world for a while. Played in a warm-up game of the day. Looked $1 million. Didn't play, and Jamie Smith bats at 3. I just didn't get it at all. Tom Banton should play instead of him. Sam Curran's a different kettle of fish. Sam Curran's a very, very accomplished cricketer in all formats, and he's got a very good shout about why he's not playing.
So Ben Stokes is injured, isn't he?
Well, I'll go back to the previous point, Norm. England are not putting Ben Stokes in the firing line for this tournament or anything else that's not super duper relevant. He will play only. My feeling is they're saving him now for an English summer Test series against India and the Ashes, and that is his workload. He's centrally contracted.
He dropped out of the
England captain, and that's it for him.
He pulled out of the 100, didn't he? I saw this morning. I think Ben Stokes has said he's not going to play in the 100. So.
Great player, worldwide superstar, but he can't do it. He's not put himself forward for the IPL. He's not doing the 100, and they're going to save him for the Indian Test series, probably as a batter only, maybe bowl a few overs, but predominantly, he's the kind of guy that wants to come down into your backyard, Norm, and make some history for himself. That's what he wants to do. Whether you think he's got a chance or not is another question.
It's interesting, look, in all fairness, there's just far too much cricket. I mean, the fact that Ben Stokes is appearing not to play that many matches or that many series is almost the normal workload of a Test cricketer in years gone by. The reality is they're playing too bloody much. This tournament is, I'm sorry, it's a complete waste of time in my opinion. I'm quite scathing about it. I don't know I grant the IPL deserves its attention. It's a huge pinnacle of that format. You don't touch that. But you don't add this in to squeeze in before. The women's IPL was played just recently as well. It's some real mistakes, I reckon. Anyway, let's have a look here. We've got another comment here. Read that one, Chris. What's that one say?
They're also saving them for the World Test Championship final held in month of June for the Australians. Yeah, look, it's the I guess with the problem is with the IPL is that no one ever wants to. The IPL is obviously the premier franchise competition, but I saw the schedule. It's like 2.5 months. Like the South African 2020, the 100. These competitions are much more streamlined into maybe 3 to 4 weeks. Whereas the IPL it's just too long. They added teams in, so you dilute the quality of the product anyway by adding more teams in, and having it so long. Why can't you could cut the IPL in half, have it as a month, and then that gives you a little bit more time to maybe have an international event or whatever it is. But
Norm, you'll know a million times more about this than me, but I really enjoyed the Big Bash. Right, I really enjoy tuning in at whatever time it is in the UK, 7 o'clock in the morning or something, or to watch a Big Bash. The numbers were up in the Big Bash across all metrics this year. Number of people at the games, attendances, number of people online, number of interactions on the social media. The Big Bash is a brilliant tournament, and it's again, it's a 4, 6, whatever week tournament where people can come. They get the best players from overseas coming into play, and the IPL, as you quite rightly said, deserves its place as one of the forefathers of T20, the best competition that's been created. No question about it.
Let's not forget though. I mean, I hate to use the mighty dollar here, but you've just mentioned the Big Bash. Do you realize? You said the metrics show their numbers are up, but the money, where the BBL and WBBL collectively in Australia is actually losing money.
Is it?
Okay, the IPL, each franchise is worth north of 12 to 14 billion dollars. The entire BBL and WBBL tournament, with all the franchises within it, would barely touch the surface of that amount. They could buy out the whole Australian allotment with one team's, 10th effort. So it's a worry. I mean, I'm of a firm belief that the BBL would benefit from Indian involvement, meaning Mumbai Indians playing in the BBL or the equivalent name, as it's doing around the world. That wouldn't hurt because we'd start seeing a few Indian players playing potentially, and that would only add. I think we're hitting a bit of a ceiling. We may grow within Australia, but we're not growing globally enough because we aren't attracting the best players anymore. Mozambique's, it was a Bird and all those players, which are, good players. They're not really the highest level, and they're dragging Dave Warner and Steve Smith to play one game here and there. Anyway, there's Sun is saying matches abandoned. I don't think it's been abandoned yet. It hasn't. It's still got some time. I saw them on Prime Video here in Australia. They're talking about a reduced match, so they're still hopeful. So Raju Limbu, is that one of your cousins, Chris, in India? From India, is a big fan of Adam Gilchrist. That's good. I'm glad you are. He was a great player. Okay, all right. We'll go back to this for a moment. Let's just look at. Let's return back now. We'll give Championship Trophy a bit of credit for the moment. India, of course, gave Pakistan a bit of a hiding, didn't they? With Kohli yet again getting a century. Australia beat England. Now, can I talk to you about that game for a moment? We didn't get a chance to talk about it before, Chris. What happened there? England seemed to do a pretty good job of it, but they didn't get across the line.
Yeah, I think England, it's so hard in the way cricket is now to say that you get 350 batting first and you're under par, but maybe they were 20, 30 short. I just think England get the side wrong. I think someone just commented, Rajesh said about Livingston as your fifth bowler. I think they just got the balance slightly wrong. I think that you need 4 or 5 proper bowlers, and someone like Sam Curran, as mentioned, would probably add depth in both. Livingston, very good 2020, and probably has some place in the side, but I think we just lack that 4th or 5th bowling option consistently in someone like Pakistan. And we had Zach Crawley on our podcast the other night, and he said that the dew is a huge factor in that part of the world, and often the toss can be dictated by the match result. Sorry, can be dictated by the toss, and that's why these guys are always bowling first, because they know that the dew will just zip up the wicket and quicken the outfield up and can make the big difference. So, look, I think it was obviously a decent toss for the Aussies to win and chase, but I just think we lack a bit of. I think 10 overs as your 5th bowler. I think it needs to be a bit better than Liam Livingstone and Joe Root. Bryden Carse obviously has bowled very well in Test cricket, but hasn't quite hit his straps in the one-day stuff, and he's now out for the tournament with Jamie Overton coming in. So I just worry that we've got a very good 8 or 9 players, and the batting looks very good, as proven the other day. But I think 15 overs of Livingston, Overton, Root is probably going to be the difference, especially when it's going to be coming in at someone like David Miller for South Africa, Aidan Markram. These guys might really tuck in. So
I really like the way Duck batted. I thought he batted really well.
yeah, he's just a good player, hasn't he? He obviously came in Bangladesh, didn't he, all those years ago? Was it 2015? Or had a few years out in the doldrums, went away to county cricket, scored some runs, and Brendan McCullum coming back in has kind of reinvigorated his career. And you can't say I think we did our Test match team of the year, and I think Ben Duckett, on current form in the last 12 to 18 months, averaging over 40, and is showing how good he is really. And he's so different, isn't he? He's short lad, lots of sweeps, lots of cross-back shots, and yeah, it's just good to see someone who's gone away after sort of the rejection initially and struggles, and coming back fitter, stronger, and sort of making hay now.
As Richard, he's made a few comments saying England is a very similar bowling lineup, no variety. That's a good point. No left armers. Didn't you? You had a few left arm bowlers that were of class. What happened to it? You had, what was his name? The guy that was there recently.
Topley, Reece Topley.
Yeah,
I think he's
Topley,
injured at the
Reece
moment.
Topley.
I think he's injured.
Well. Haven't you
So I
got any
imagine
left arm bowlers up your sleeve?
Well, we have Sam Curran. I'm not sure how he hasn't got in.
Exactly.
He was player of the tournament, wasn't he, in the 2020 World Cup in Australia? Yeah, I just think that's it's all well and good wanting to have pace, but you've got Archer and Wood and Atkinson in the squad. So someone like Jamie Overton, who averages 18 or 19 in one-day cricket, I just don't think he adds anything. I'd rather have a Sam Curran or maybe another spin option. I don't think spin is as important in Pakistan as the seam, but someone as a bit more of a backup to Rashid. But then, is Liam Livingstone the second best spinner we've got in the country in white ball cricket? And maybe he is. That's another conversation for another day, I think. But yeah, I just think we lack a bit in that middle order, that all-rounder slot.
Karl, what do you think about? I mean, you've mentioned on your show that, which is called At the Cricket Club YT, for those joining us now. And guys, I want you to all go and subscribe to that at the Cricket Club YT. It's on the bottom there on the screen. Make sure you all subscribe to that, please, to join these lovely fellows in their broadcast as well. With Zach Crawley, why isn't he considered an option for the short form?
It's a good question, Norm. And we had him on Sunday last week, and we asked him the same question about his ambitions for his career, and he wants to play in all formats. And actually, his game is probably more suited to 50 overs and T20 than it is to Test matches. I think he's probably a better cricketer in white ball cricket than red ball cricket. He'd probably disagree and not be very happy with that comment. But I think he's got a lot to offer in ODI cricket. And leaving Zach aside for a moment, we were talking about it the other day with him on the show, and I think Chris and I both agree that the balance of the England side is completely out of kilter. How we don't have a left arm spinner in the team when every other team in the world has got two or three spinners in the team is a abject mismanagement. To me, how we've arrived at this with Joe Root bowling. Brilliant player as he is, batters around the world are thinking it's Christmas. When Joe Root comes on the bowl on a flat pitch in Lahore, and Livingstone is, I hope he comes on the show one day, but he probably won't after this. But the bloke is stealing a living, isn't he? I mean, he's I've got no idea how he's in this team. He got 100 against West Indies, and I reckon Chris could get 100 against West Indies. So. I've got no idea how he is batting at 6 for England in a global.
I mean, you could even argue Josh Butler could open, couldn't you? Really? I mean,
Josh Butler's has been the number one player in T20, and McCullum's entire strategy is basically T20 elongated into 50 over games. So why isn't he batting at why isn't he opening? You've got all these great hitters, England, just get him at the top of the order. Ben Duckett's been brilliant, as Chris said. In every format, he's been brilliant and deserves his spot. But I mean, the bowlers who come up against England, who don't you want to bowl to with a new ball? The answer would be Josh Butler. So why isn't he opening? Why are we hiding him down at 5 and 6? It's nonsense.
Yeah, I always think he likes the ball coming onto the bat. and that's generally when you're the first ball of the innings. All right, we've got a comment there from Bunchu. Can you read it out, Chris?
India-Pakistan is the most overhyped rivalry ever. It was the best and is the best with India and Australia in the making. Yeah, I think that's just great question, Himanshu, by the way, or statement. Unfortunately, the India-Pakistan rivalry has been damaged by the fact that both politics gets in the way. Part of the rivalry back, it's probably a little bit before what I remember from a cricket perspective, but was packed out stadiums in India and Pakistan for Test cricket, with Akhtar steaming in at Tendulkar and things like that. But unfortunately, politics gets in the way. So when you do play now, it's in pretty much one-day tournaments. And I mean, when was the last time India and Pakistan played a Test series against each other? Certainly not in either host country for a long time. So that's probably where the rivalry was a hot and steamy Test match series in front of 80,000 people in India. And the fact that both politics gets in the way of professional sport is a real shame, and that's on them. Unfortunately, there's only one way that can be solved, and that's probably the Indian side to sort it out, really. But yeah, look, the Ashes would always be the best. I think it comes down to the fact that cricket in Australia and England is very popular. The ground's still out, especially in England. And that's why those three countries have the best rivalries and Test match series, is because Test cricket is the best form of the game, and the grounds, it's always a very popular spectacle, isn't it?
During the World Cup in 23 at Ahmedabad Stadium, there, the Colossus that it is, I was there, steaming away. I had Indian gear on because I thought I'd go with the flow. There were 99.9% Indian supporters. Anyone that bothered to say boo about Pakistan was trounced. It was quite ugly, I thought, and very unfair for the poor Pakistanis there. But anyway, we won't talk too much on it now. All right. What is the toss time there, JS Galawasa? Well, there is no toss at the moment because there's still a weather-related delay. I've just seen the messages there. There's no concept of it. There's no thought of a toss yet. We're going to look at a reduced match. It could end up being 20 overs the way it's going. So we'll stay tuned for that one. Okay.
It suits both sides, doesn't it, Norm? An abandoned game suits both teams, doesn't it?
It suits England, doesn't it?
It probably would be detrimental for England. You're right.
Yeah.
It basically puts England in a situation where they've got to absolutely thump Afghanistan and South Africa to get through. So I can't see this game going on because I don't think either team will be desperate to play, because an abandoned game is a point each or whatever the split of the points is, and they both go to 3, and the other teams have got none.
Yeah, although you can spin it, right? You can spin it, though. If they both get a point, it means that they both risk going out if England win their last 2 games, right? Because England plays South Africa. It probably suits Australia more than South Africa because Australia have that Afghanistan to play, whereas South Africa, if they play today and win, they're in, it's a bit of a free hit for South Africa, really, because if they then lose to us having won, they're already through. Whereas a point means if they lose to us and we beat Afghanistan, we still go above them regardless. They can only get to 3 points or 5 points, right? Then South Africa 3 points if we beat them. So if we can win our last 2, we're rained off. We then go above South Africa. So
we had this is a controversial point, Norm, which I'm sure you'll like, and I'm sure the viewers will have a theory on. But going back to a football analogy, in the League Cup in the UK, some of the big teams that had a lot of football on were almost admitting that they were keen to get knocked out. Chelsea went to Newcastle. Went to Newcastle in the early rounds, played like they wanted to get knocked out. Interviews after the game to the manager were basically asking the question, and he didn't deny it. He was like, look, we got loads of stuff going on. We got European Cup football. We got League that we're going for. We got the FA Cup, everything. I'm not sure that it's the be-all and end-all for England to get through. I'm honestly, that's my feeling. If we get knocked out, the hierarchy probably wouldn't come out and say so, but they'd almost be grateful for the rest, for a couple of weeks off for the players to get them back and get them ready for the English Championship series. The English County Championship starts in 6 weeks. some of these boys are out there for another maybe 3 weeks, whatever it is, at this tournament. I think that you'll find they'll never come out and admit it, but it wouldn't surprise me if secretly they were happy to get knocked out.
Well, Cowboy says bad weather, no match, complete shame. He's kind of right. Himanshu says Aussies are more concerned about the WTC final in June than CT. I'd agree with that.
Quite right as well. Why wouldn't they? Like it's a game. It's at Lords. Who wouldn't want to play in a World Test Championship final at Lords against South Africa? The only thing that could beat that for us on this pod is if it was England Australia at Lords in the final. The Indian guests would like it to be India against Australia again, or India against England. But the World Test Championship final at Lords is a much more important affair than this, and I think we're all in agreement.
So, Chris, do you think that South Africa deserved to be in the World Test Championship final?
Yeah, like I think we've gone back to this point a few times, even when we were doing regular pods normal. I don't think that I like the idea of the World Test Championship. I don't think that it's fit for purpose at the moment in terms of structure. I don't believe that. I think it should be moved to say like a 4-year cycle. I don't believe you can have a World Test Championship where England don't play in India, or Australia don't play in England, or South Africa don't play away in India. Like, if you want a fair reflection, you have to play everyone home and away, because that's the ultimate. That's the ultimate challenge in Test cricket, isn't it? Particularly away series. But that you can't argue that South Africa have ultimately, the table doesn't lie. England got docked a lot of points, and in my opinion, are probably one of the better top. I think they're a better Test side than South Africa for sure. But South Africa do have a lot of good players, and a lot of good bowlers in particular. And I know runs are important in Test cricket, but if you've got Rabada, Janssen now, and a couple of those guys, and your bowling side's out for 200, 250, it makes Test cricket a much different game. And I think they might win the Test Championship final. Lords historically last few years has been.
Have you been drinking before the?
I just got to.
Australia are going to absolutely smash them. Are you kidding me, Chris? On what basis do you South Africa any hope of beating Australia? Come on, seriously.
Just because I think that Lords in the last few years has been a bit greener, has been a bit of a juicier wicket. It does flatten out, but I think any side that's got Rabada, Janssen, if they win the toss, the Aussies batting the Aussies have been hanging on with the bowling for the last couple of years. I know Steve Smith has found a bit of form, but the Australian batting lineup isn't all that. Labuschagne has been batting with a snooker cue now for a couple of years. Khawaja, bit better form in the winter, but is on the way out. This idiot you've got opening contest, whoever his name is,
double century that he scored. That's a bit better form, is it?
But that's a one-off. I'm saying if you looked over the last 2 years, the Australian batting lineup has been a bit out of form, and Rabada and the staff.
Yeah, Labuschagne I can't stand. You know that. Travis Head I don't normally like, but he's better these days. What do you think of Sam Constance, by the way?
Just stupid, isn't it? Like trying to scoop. He did it in the Sheffield Shield this week. He scooped Scott Boland second ball of the match. He won't last more than. He won't play more than 10 tests, in my opinion. If you're coming into Test cricket, try and do that.
Zach Crawley at one stage as well. Or?
Yeah, but at least Zach has a game and is a bit more coming in and trying to scoop Bumrah in your Test debut. You're just an idiot, in my opinion. There we go. That's my opinion.
Okay, you haven't seen him bat. I've seen him bat. His coach is a guy, Tajman. He's a Bangladeshi guy. With friends of Jainara who've got out here from Bangladesh. He's got more than you think he's got. He's just young. He just wanted to. He's got a rush of blood. I'd watch out for him. I think he's going to play more than 10 tests. Anyway,
it's fine. I think he just needs to grow up a bit and bat properly. Go and do that when you're on 70, like Joe Root does. Easy when you get out. Just what trying to reverse scoop Bumrah, the best bowler in the world, and on your Test debut, it looks great if you do it. If you get out, people get very bored very quickly, I'm afraid. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Is he? Yeah. What do you think about the World Test Championship? Do you follow Chris's rather hard to understand point of view that South Africa is going to win? What do you think?
No, I don't agree, Norm. If South Africa started batting now, they still wouldn't win the game. and that's 6 months ahead of the coin flip. There is, I like the World Test Championship, and I look forward to the game last year or the year before, India and Australia at the Oval was a really good centerpiece game, a really good end to the championship, with two great teams facing off at the Oval. I like the format. I like the idea of it. I agree with Chris about the makeup of the points and stuff. And the only drawback for this year is that I think it's going to be very one-sided, and that's not good for the showpiece final event. It needs to, it would be great to go to the fifth day and have all eventualities possible, but I can only see a 3-day game, which is no good for Lords or the crowds that have. It will be a sellout, 5-day sellout, and I can only see a 3-day Aussie win, to say the truth.
I mean, go back, and this is a very relevant point. The true order of the World Test Championship, okay, South Africa made it. But in all seriousness, Australia, India, England, New Zealand, in my opinion, are 4 better teams. And I'll even go close to throwing Sri Lanka above South Africa, and in my opinion.
Stop talking. I was going to say a swear word. No, Norman, come on.
Go on, swear, Chris. I dare you.
But the good thing, South Africa have arguably got the best Test match bowling attack in the world on their day, right? They've probably got the best spinner in world cricket at the moment.
Maharaj.
I think Jadeja's better. Jayasuriya takes a lot of wickets in Sri Lanka, but I think Keshav Maharaj flies under the radar with being underrated. I think that people, because South Africa, it's a lot of the time it's Rabada and the big quicks on green wickets, but Maharaj is definitely underrated, and that's the one thing that they'll lie on, is that they've got a few batters that can have a good day, and the bowling is very good. So I expect Australia to win. I think South Africa might cause an upset, but the Australian batting lineup in England could be weak, and someone like Rabada, Ngidi, Janssen, they've got potential there to take some wickets, and then who knows.
Okay, just one point there you've forgotten, one major point. South Africa haven't won any bloody ICC tournament since the Championship Trophy 27 years ago. They're mentally screwed. They will be. That's the biggest problem.
But their things are there to be broken, right?
They've got no mentors in South Africa that have won anything to go and talk to. They should hire a bunch of Aussies, English, and other blokes that have won things and talk to them. They're wasting their time talking to Alan Donald and people like that. They just basically haven't got any. Even AB de Villiers, the poor bugger, can't show any trophies for what he's done.
One of the greatest players of all time as well, AB de Villiers.
He's a fantastic player, but he hasn't won an ICC tournament.
Yeah, look, I said to you a moment ago, Norm, and I'm not going to change my mind. Chris is right. The Saffers have got a very good bowling attack, but so have the Aussies, and Saffers have got no batting, and the Aussies have got plenty of batting. So there you are in a nutshell. If you're a gambling man, Australia will be long odds on for that game. I don't know what the odds are, but it's going to be 3, 4, 5 to 1 on Australia.
And you can bet your bottom dollar Mitchell Starc and Hazelwood and Cummins are gearing themselves towards that. 100%. They're going to be at their top form. They're going to be ready to come on and just bowl line and length and frustrate the hell out of South African batters. And it's the reason why
and it's absolutely the reason why what's happening now is happening, is freshen themselves up, bit of time at home, and get ready for bigger and you can answer this, Norm, as an Aussie. I'm sure the Indian worldwide audience can answer the same thing. You give these lads a chance, or give the Australian public a poll. Do you want to win the World Test Championship and beat the Pommies in the winter, or do you want to win the the Champions Trophy.
So
It's
it's
a
very clear.
It's a
Very,
no-brainer.
very good point. All right, so Neumann, not me, says BC is a goon of cricket. Well, maybe. Australia, Ashes will be amazing. I agree. Okay, so Neumann is he's from Rawalpindi, and rain starting again. He has been going out like you wouldn't believe. Abhishek misses Pat Cummins. Hakim, please update us on the Aussie South Africa. Yeah, I'm watching the Prime Video coverage. It's absolutely raining like cats and dogs there at the moment. The actual square totally covered. There's not a sign of anyone in the crowd. They've all gone either home or they're not going to turn up yet. We're heading for an abandoned match, I'd say. Okay. Because I don't care about. Yeah, Munchers don't care about. It is true. It's not about not caring. Guys, can you still try to inform me why it's called the Champions Trophy? What happened? If you won an ODI series in New Zealand between New Zealand, England, and Australia, did the winner of that go through? Where did the word? I thought Champions Trophy was a bit like a franchise cricket team being the champion or whatever they've done, and they came together. I thought that was what it was all about.
I think it's just the top 8 sides in the world.
Or Sri Lanka.
So I
Yeah.
assume it's just the top 8 ranked teams in the world in the one-day cricket.
Yeah, I mean, I know Afghanistan qualified by the lesser tournaments to go up. I know of that, and that's where we've got a bit of strength actually. The way the Omans and the Afghanistans and even Malaysia, all these lesser countries are starting to really build their stocks. They're getting great coaching going through. Like our mate Chris Simon Willis is there with Hong Kong. That's a big benefit for them, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he's and I spoke. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say there's a lot of opinions worldwide about the ICC and who runs cricket and what's been going on over the last few years. One thing that you'd have to say that they've done a brilliant job on is the affiliate countries and raising the profile of the game that we're all crazy about.
No doubt. And women's cricket too, by the way. They've got
women's cricket, yeah, and we can go on to that, Norm, in a minute because I think there's a segue.
I was in Uganda and Kenya about 23. They have got incredibly burgeoning women's cricket there now. Oh my God, it's taking off. Really is.
And there's the program they've put in place, the ICC for the emerging nations and the affiliate nations and the world groups has meant that the game has come on massively in those parts of the world. You're right to mention Uganda. Their men's team is rising through the ranks quickly. There are teams in Europe now that you would never dream of hearing about having cricket teams that have got into the top 20 and the top 15. The likes of Austria and Germany have got teams now with backroom teams and strength and conditioning coaches and everything, all funded by the ICC. But actually, the teams are coming through. They're playing good quality cricket tournaments all around the world, and it's that is we got to say well done. Credit where it's due to the ICC for that program. It's been absolutely superb for the game.
How's this in Sydney? The Sydney Cricket Club, which I'm involved with, which has like Greg Healy and Healy's brother involved, and Neil Maxwell, who ran an IPL team. We hosted China over the summer here, men's and women's. They spent over $1.5 million getting here to play, and the whole thing was funded. That's pretty impressive. They played at Bradman Oval, SCG, Drummoyne, incredible grounds here. They played against top quality opposition. It was quite impressive, actually.
The two focal markets for the ICC, Norm, are China and the USA for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah,
and there's no doubt in my mind that China will come through in the next decade or two in cricket, and the USA, obviously, as everyone knows, have been coming through very quickly now with the emergence of the tournaments out there, and the amount of teams that are going out there now to play on tours, the T20 tournaments, the Premier League, whatever it is in the States, and there are tens of thousands of players in many different
Oh,
states
gotcha.
in the USA, West Coast, East Coast, Florida. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of players in the
Well, Hong
USA.
Kong in particular, with Simon Willis, has got a lot of they're going gangbusters at the moment. All right, Travis Head has joined us, and he said Travis Head is coming in final. Okay, thanks, Travis Head. I'm hoping that's the real Travis Head, not some fake Travis Head. All right, now, okay, let's go back to your channel for a moment. Tell me more about that, Karl and Chris. What are your plans?
Well, we started off the cricket club. Norm started off about 18 months ago with a few of us that have got a lot of experience in cricket, different guises, and we started off because we got something to offer, and it wasn't with a view of doing a podcast. You know, that was a thing that came later on, and Chris, you know, I'll say it on here, and I'm sure you can edit it out so he can't come back on it later on. But you know, Chris mentioned your podcast and how brilliant that was as an idea for us. You know, so that was 3 or 4 months ago, and it took us till about 6 weeks ago to get started. But the idea is that we've got people that we've met along the way in cricket all over the world. I've been lucky enough to be an MCC member for 15, 20 years. I've been on tours all over the world with the MCC.
Have you been to Australia?
Yes, I came in 2001 with not with the MCC, with the Midlands from the UK. The Midlands representative team came to Australia and Singapore in 2001. I was on that team, and we toured in Sydney, Perth, Melbourne, and then Singapore. We had 3 or 4 games on the way back. So I've been
in 2019. I was a part of a very successful tour of England against. I think Chris may have played the game. We absolutely thumped them. It was a thrashing. Well, I remember, wasn't it?
Yeah.
29. I think it was. Yeah, I remember it being a thrashing.
I captained that. It was at overs played. It was at the Middlesex ground, and you definitely didn't win, Norman. That's when I met you.
You had this ring-in IPL guy that one of our good old one of our best bowlers, the pie chucker, got him out second ball.
Yeah, we did beat you though. So that
I've played at Lords, Norm, against the MCG 11, and they bought a team over on tour, and it must have been a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. So it might have been the Ashes year. MCG team, yeah.
Right.
And they bought a team, and it was. I mean, I didn't know any of the names, but I should have, because after we played against them, they bowled us out for 130 and knocked them off in about 10 overs at Lords. You know, like a real showpiece game, MCC against the MCG, and they bought you know, T20 stars from the Big Bash and Victoria opening bowlers and all sorts of stuff. Gave us an absolute toweling on our own patch, and then had a big dinner with hundreds of people there crowing about it, and started drinking early, and it was an absolute mess. So the less we talk about Aussie touring sides, the better, I think.
Well, 2013, we played at the nursery ground. We had Simon Kaddish playing for us, and your captain, the MCC captain, you know who it was? It was the bloody Queenslander, Clinton Perrin. You couldn't even pick a local guy to captain your side.
I think I got a feeling that Clinton's probably got his UK citizenship now, hasn't he?
Probably has.
I think he's married.
The last game I played in the recent one at Lords, and I think Will Basisto captained, didn't he, for the MCC? Was that when we obviously were victorious in that day at Lords after the Stokes 100 and whatever it was? But yeah, so the MCC most recent victory at Lords, which is the main thing. So, you came to that one, Norman, didn't you? That was
the
the day you came
MCC, Norman, is a worldwide setup now. We got members all over the world. You know, we got people like Basisto, who's just been in the Bangladesh Premier League. I see, you know, playing well and is a great lad. But he's been a member for years. You know, plays matches every year for us, and you know, we got a young kid coming over for his second year, a young Tasmanian first class player, Brad Hope, played for Australia A. He's going to be a member this year. MCC. Some of these boys are really keen to be members of the MCC. So we're gonna keep putting out Aussies against Aussies, because if we play
There's something really
Englishmen
wrong
against
about
Aussies,
There's
we get
something
thumped.
really wrong about that. It's a bit like how you select all the South Africans to play for your English side. Anyway, all right. Jainara Alam, you've heard of her, Karl? Opening bowler, a female sensation bowls for Bangladesh. She's in Australia at the moment. She is just, look her up. She's got millions of followers, a sensational record, killing it here in Sydney at the moment. You should get her as a guest on your show, talk about women's cricket from a subcontinent perspective. What do you reckon? Chris Jainara Alam, we should get her on your show.
No, definitely. And we've got a few people who know some of the England ladies that we're trying to get on to come on. We actually spoke about it yesterday, getting to talk about women's cricket. So yeah, that would be really interesting from a non-English women's perspective.
Great
and see how
too. She speaks well. So,
and it's a huge and it's a huge topic on its own, Norm. You know, the rise in the women's game has been nothing short of monumental in the last couple of years. And
has Chris told you that I've managed 20 female cricketers?
The only thing he's ever told me, Norm, about you is that he made your show. That's
what a low blow that is. Are you mute or something? Are you incapable of talking? Haven't you heard about words out of your mouth that are positive about something other than you? Jesus.
KP adopts a saying that I actually very much like in life, and that's never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Oh, here we go. Yes. So Nida Dar, the captain of Pakistan, Jainara, who's Bangladesh opening bowler, who's also been the captain of Bangladesh. Shapali Warakoti, who's been on my show. Winnie Durasam, who's the captain of Malaysia. These are all girls I manage. So I'll get them on your show. You should get a smorgasbord of women's cricketers and have a good natter about it. That'd be great.
We could do that. We could do that, Norm. And like we were saying, the rise in the game has been extraordinary. And we were talking about it, as Chris said yesterday, about who we can get on. So we'd be absolutely delighted, privileged to have these girls on.
I'm actually you keep talking, guys. I'm gonna look for I'm gonna get Jainara on the phone, just because she would be very. I'd like to hear her say this. Let me get her on the phone. Hang on.
Well, as before, I'm taking over Norman's show. Look, the viewers have spiked. Do you want to go off, Norman, and we'll just stay on by ourselves?
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Carrying like a pork chop as usual. I'm not surprised. Look,
should we go through some more of the questions? I can't highlight them.
Okay. I'm gonna threaten to bring Alan Mullally on your show. We should get Adam Hollyoake for starters.
We have got Adam Hollyoake. I spoke to Smokes, and he's going to come on. So because he's obviously now new coach at Kent. He's the head coach at Kent, so might even see him a little bit this summer as well.
Well, you'd hope so. For God's sake, he's a cracking guy, as you know. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So what is Kent basically taking over the county league? Are they or what?
No,
they got relegated last year.
You got relegated.
They got relegated from the county championship, Division 1 to Division 2. And that was the catalyst for the coach moving on. Matt Walker moved on after a few good years at Kent. They got relegated. They didn't make the finals of either the 50 over or the T20, so they had a pretty rotten year. And obviously they've got Adam Hollyoake to come in and hopefully have a new regime and a new start. And Zach was on Sunday, as we said, and Zach's going to be playing in a few weeks' time. He's down at Canterbury now training for the new season. So at the end of March or beginning of April, the county championship will start for Kent in Division 2. So hopefully a better year for them.
Well, Adam Hollyoake is a winner. Whenever he touches, does well. Trust me, you know that. Mosen Sheikh, remember Mosen, Chris? He's been the high performance coach for everybody. He was with Afghanistan during the World Cup. He's a regular guest where he's been the high performance analyst, you would say, with all these major countries. It's been in fact, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, he's done the whole lot. He's an amazing guy, very insightful. And being in the back rooms with those teams, and a lot of the IPL franchise like too, what a great amount of knowledge that he must have on the inner workings of how to pull a player apart of their so-called abilities. All right, so guys, I want you to summarise again your show, and please point out and talk them through where it's at.
Yeah, no, it's just I think we're just trying to get a good quality cricket chat podcast going. Really, we want to have a variety of guests and variety of topics, and just really go from there. And some controversial topics. I'm sure. I guess from mine and Karl's perspective, we just both love our cricket, and we like talking about cricket. And if we can get some good guests on, I don't know who. We had Zach Crawley on the other night, and everyone should go to the Cricket Club YouTube channel, follow and listen to that. And he was brilliant, and he actually. We know Zach quite well, but it was really nice just to hear a different perspective on the professional game that isn't very much money orientated, or that they don't really like playing cricket. He just sort of enthuses cricket, and I spoke to Karl afterwards, and it was really nice, and that's kind of what we want to do. Really, it's just get a good chat going with people who love their cricket, and that's kind of why we like to come on with you, Norman, initially, is because you've got lots of very keen cricket fans in your chat as well, and if we can extend that, and that's perfect for us, I think.
Well, Manu John has been a doyen from almost the start of my program. He's come on. Actually, BBCI doesn't want India to win any tournaments, which is how the BCCI makes more and more money. Okay, Manu John, I'm not sure what you're getting at there, but I think they want India to win, I thought. All right. Now, again, all the viewers, we're gonna bring these two guys on throughout the championship trophy, especially in the championship trophy, with of course England playing in some very crucial matches. It looks like this is going to be a draw. I can't see there being any play, to be honest. It hasn't been announced officially yet, but it's still weather pending. So England play against South Africa and Afghanistan, correct?
Yep. Afghanistan Wednesday, isn't it? Tomorrow.
Afghanistan tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah, and then South Africa
that's in Pakistan, correct?
Yep.
Lahore.
And Lahore. I like Lahore. I didn't say. I mean, I think Chris knew. I went to Lahore in in 23, and I met up with the Lahore Qalandars. I went across the border from Amritsar, across the border to Pakistan via the Wagah border, which the Indian colleagues said don't go. The Pakistani colleagues said don't go. In fact, that day I was the only person other than a Russian woman who passed that border. It was hilarious. And of course, the main person that crossed that border, would you believe, 4 times a week is Inzamam Al Haq. He does business on both sides of the border, like it's his regular gig. He and Harbhajan Singh build apartments all over parts of India and Pakistan. It's quite interesting. Anyway, so look, guys, that's going to be, if you guys want to come on for that, I'll do a bit of we'll get before the game starts. This time it's rain. We'll do a prelim to that, a preview for both of them, and we'll look at how things pan out, and we'll get you into the finals as well, with the intention of guys ultimately going on the platform as well at the Cricket Club YT for YouTube, at the Cricket Club YT. Okay, so that you'll see Chris Vernon and Karl Pearson on those channels. Karl with a K. I wrote C, but I'll change that. So you guys will be on there. So we've gone a good hour here. It's been a great chat. So engaging. I love to hear from you guys. So we'll start throwing some of the female guests your way as well. And, you can always bring Zach Crawley on again on this platform and get him to talk about his relationship to your platform. Okay? We want people everybody that's viewing today needs to go there now to the channel that exists there at the Cricket Club YT and hit the subscribe button, view, like, and share the posts, and hit the notification button for their upcoming events. They've had Sam Northeast, they've had Billings, and also Zach Crawley, and they kind of had me in a reverse fashion here as well. And so you're going to get a copy of this to put on your channel as well.
And we've had Chris, Norm. Chris was the first guest, and he's somehow managed to stay on every week. So,
Well, I heard he's taken control of the nozzle that turns it on and off. Is that right?
Yeah, he was
Well,
trying
just
this morning to get all the login details and stuff, so he can turn us all off.
they just
Well, he
wanted
thinks
someone
he
who's got
turns a lot of people
experience
on.
of experience, someone who's run a successful podcast, and I said, well, eyes on cricket. So
Did you say eyes on crook cricket or eyes on cricket?
eyes on, well, Chris Cricket, I was going to say, yeah.
All right. Now, look, it's been, look, I've always enjoyed having Chris on and obviously now Karl, but we'll try and get Adam and that across and eventually get David Graveney and even we'll go and get Monty. I might even get a partner to throw a time in for you and Rapakshi and Alexi might have come across. We might get a bit of my flavour and yours. Get like Jainar Allen. Google Jai. You don't know Karl? You would need to know who Jainar Allen is right away and get her on channel. She's a fantastic person and really, really knowledgeable in the game. And despite what people say about her, she's extremely humble. She's got millions of followers, but she's extremely humble. And I really like her a lot. I've gotten to know her very well. And it's been a pleasure having her here in Australia. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up now. Look, at this point in time, Australia versus South Africa is not happening. It looks like it's heading towards an abandonment. We may get a 20-over game in. I doubt it. It's been what? It's now, the game should have started 2 hours ago. And I think the cut-off usually happens after 3 hours. So they haven't got much time left to get a result there. And that's pretty sad, isn't it? Because you're going to have a tournament, you want games to be played. All right, guys, any last thoughts from you two?
My final thoughts, Norm, is really appreciate you having us on. For anyone that's thinking about joining the future podcasts, it's just guys that love cricket, talking about cricket, that have got some people we know around the world that we can not keep exclusively for the cricket club or for Eyes on Sports. We're going to make sure that we give you, the viewers, the best possible access to cricket chat and cricket people we know, so that we can grow the game and make sure we chat about the game and keep it relevant and talk about anything that's topical at the time, like the Champions Trophy is now, or the World Test Championship coming up in the UK summer. So really look forward to the future. Look forward to coming back on, Norm, when invited, and we'll get some. I'm sure Bilbo will come on onto your platform and talk to your subscribers, because he was great the other day, and Zach was unbelievable. If you do get a chance, anyone go and look at the those podcasts on the Cricket Club YT, because Zach Crawley was absolutely superb, and it just shows you that international cricketers are not everything you read about in the paper or the press or whatever. Zach is and Bilbo, to be honest, and Sam Northeast, all down to earth guys that started in league cricket, started playing for their clubs and made it to play for England and franchises and whatever. But they're normal guys. We were talking to Zach for an hour and a quarter the other night just about normal stuff.
I mean, they find it refreshing just to be like engaged in a natural chat, not be under any like interrogation. Let them talk freely about their love of the sport. It's very short.
I know Zach for a long time, Norm, because I captained him when he came through as a junior at our club. So, but actually to hear him talking about, I'd never heard anything about him struggling. He keeps himself very, very level. Criticism, plaudits come to him the same, I thought, because he's very, very, very laid back, it appears. But actually on the show the other day, he said, look, I've had some really low points in worrying about losing my place and worrying about form and whatever. It was really interesting to hear honest answers. We weren't trying to catch him out. We were just talking about cricket. But he I mean, Chris will tell you, he came over brilliantly, and he was very honest, and he gave some tips on grassroots cricket and how to think about the game for kids, and it was really good, and we hope to bring on people like that who can just give some informed opinions on the professional game and the franchise game to all of us, normal cricketers that love cricket and play club cricket and whatever, tour around the world.
It's interesting because look, we've got Himanshu's already subscribed. He's just said he's subscribed. You got Himanshu's also mentioned about bringing back Owen Morgan back as captain. That might be a bit hard to imagine, but
it's not the worst. It's not the worst comment we've had today by a long straw, because I'm not a, I love Joss Butler as a cricketer, but I'm not sure he can captain a bath boat, can he? I just don't rate his captaincy at all.
I don't think I looking at all the games so far, other than perhaps Coley and the like, there's not, in my opinion, this out and out 100% effort going in. I've got a feeling they're all holding back a little bit. Don't you get that feeling?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we said almost at the start, Norm. I think, and I think you see it in a lot of sports now. The pressures and the weight of expectation, the weight of matches, the weight of performance that they've got to put in. They can't do it 365 days a year. It's impossible. So you have to have a second and third gear. And when these guys want to do it, they can throttle down to second gear. And that's what you're seeing in this tournament, because as we spoke about earlier, it's the lowest in importance. It's the lowest. Some of these guys got the IPL coming up in a few weeks' time, where they earn life-changing amounts of money. Why on earth do they want to get injured playing in this?
Just a quick question, Josh Inglis. He's Yorkshire born?
No, it's true. It's true. He qualifies for England. I think he's got one parent is British and one Australian, I think.
You're not getting him, by the way. You're not getting him. I can't make
no,
that clear.
No.
You're not getting him. Okay.
Look.
Hands off.
There's a reason in a previous generation that there is a reason that we sent all you blokes down there. We don't want them back.
That's nauseating, Karl. How many freaking 100 years ago was that? Jesus. I mean, Chris's dad was alive then, I know, but he's the only one that's alive from that time, I think. Where's your dad, by the way? Is he?
Oh, you're talking about this, Norm. You don't want Radio Vernon on. That's who we don't want on.
He'll be watching at some point, I'm sure, but I think he's out at the moment. But he'll definitely be tuning in.
Is he home now?
He misses your dulcet tones, Norman, for sure. He always says that he hasn't got any good bedtime material to fall asleep to. So, he misses your channel.
No, I'm still here. I had to have a bit of a break in terms of my regular. I still post every day. I mean, the last 3 posts, one of them got 100,000 views.
Yeah. Hopefully this video will get similar.
It's an amazing success, Norm.
It was actually a video of Chris Vernon coming out of the shower, but I just pulled it down. It got all this controversy.
Norm, it's an amazing success, the podcast, and the viewers probably would like you to, finally publicly come out and thank Chris for getting you going and making it the success that it is.
So did you say I've got to publicly thank Chris? What the F for? Are you kidding me? The only thing I'm going to thank him for is bloody well putting up a quarter of the screen with a person that sometimes talked who didn't look sideways.
Maybe just to an open
and your
plane
stupid
ticket
hat.
to
One of his hats got me copyrighted. It was some ban on his hat, remember? One of your hats had a copyright.
I'm not sure. Where's your MCC cap?
I've still got it. It's in there. It's in the cupboard there. I mean, I haven't officially earned it. We won't say how I got it, will we, Chris? But
no.
But there'll be another tour of England probably. When's the next Ashes down your way? I think it's
27.
27. There'll be an SCG 11 team. The SCG 11 team are going to New Zealand next week, actually, or about a week's time.
I got a feeling they play at Lords this year, don't they? SCG.
Well, actually, MCC Residents played against the SCG 11 last weekend at Coogee Oval.
Yeah,
and you guys won.
Yeah, well, I got a feeling that you're here this year.
Yeah,
so
here we go.
I got usually tour for the Ashes.
Himanshu said, "Please build a statue of Boland, please." What are we doing? J.S. Galloway says, "I can't remember a single ICC tournament that wasn't dropped by rain." Fair call. Fair call. They're on the wrong time, probably. Anyway, World Test Championship, Australia's won that. If we win this championship trophy, we're going to hold practically all the tournaments, I think, now. I think we've practically got all of them going.
You won't win the tournament, Norm, this tournament. Firstly, you've got a second team entered, which is to your testament that you still beat us. But we go back to a previous sort of discussion. the final. Let's be honest. The final's going to be in Dubai. The semi-final and the final is going to be in Dubai. The wickets there suit the team that are hosted there. It won't suit you guys. It'll suit Zampa maybe, but it won't suit the makeup of the team, and it'll be a lower scoring game. If it was in Rawalpindi or Lahore, this game, the final, the Aussies would have a great chance because of their batting depth and the fact that Travis Head hasn't got any for a while, etc. He's going to come good shortly.
I'm just trying to get a screenshot. Hang on.
That's all right.
Oh, I keep turning the bloody phone off. Sorry, I'll get it right. Hang on. All right, let me get this right. I did it again. Take a screenshot, guys. Take a screenshot of everything, okay? All right. So, Game of Thrones has joined us. ICC being manoeuvred by the BCCI because sponsorship has damaged the game. They use it as a political tool. Yeah, there's a bit of truth in that. There's a bit of look. We have to thank India for a lot of reasons, and for that matter, Pakistan. They have financially kept the whole thing going around the world. And even though they may have overplayed their card in some cases, we need this. And the more the ICC spreads cricket throughout the world to the non-traditional countries, especially with women's cricket, the better. It is the second biggest sport in the world, isn't it, behind soccer?
We have a lot to thank them for, Norm. You're right. We do. There's no point talking about all the negatives without talking about the positives. We do owe them a lot, and they are contributing an awful lot of money and revenue to the sport, which is keeping it all going and keeping it all moving forward. The game is in better shape at the moment than it's been in for a long time.
Oh, sure.
the amount of games, the amount of good tournaments, etc. The trick for the game now is to make sure we don't burn out these top players, because when I go to the 100 in the summer in the UK, I want to see the top players playing. I want to see players from all over. How they get their heads around a table and sort all this stuff out is obviously a completely new conversation. But we want to see, as fans, as cricketers, I want to see Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma and all these guys playing in these tournaments all over the world. We talked about
Bill. You've got to give it to Virat Kohli. He's fantastic. He's really been given a bit of a hard time of late, not being consistent. That's rubbish. Look at his stats; they're phenomenal.
And I thought he got a raw deal for crossing over 3 or 4 pitches to give Constas one in the shoulder barge. I mean that was a superb move, wasn't it? I mean he should have got a couple of credits, not a 1 game ban or whatever he got.
I beg your pardon. Maybe we'll do that to Zach Crawley next time or so. Better tell him watch that. Chris is a very mild mannered cricketer. I like a bit of needle in the game, Norm. So
I like it
mild mannered. Is he mild mannered? Is he?
In the game, it's generally because he's got no runs and he's got nothing to say.
He chastised me because I fell over when I ran between the wickets. I'll never forget.
No, KP, this is one of the funniest things. The day I met Norman, secretary match, Norman takes off for a single and face plants in the middle of the pitch. Just
you can't just say secretary's match, Chris. For the people watching it, Chris is talking about an MCC's secretary's 11, which is basically the elite team for the MCC. So it was obviously a big game.
It was a big game.
I was tripped over, by the way. I'm convinced I was tripped over.
Yeah, there was that blade of grass. That was the long.
Looked like Chris's foot came out in front of me. I reckon that's what happened.
The blade of grass that the groundsman had missed got you.
I don't know about you, Norm, but I like a bit of needle in the game. I like watching the clips of, going back to Mitchell Johnson and Jimmy Anderson having a tear up. They're things that you can't buy in the game, aren't they? I want a bit of needle for the Ashes this year. We're coming down there with 3 or 4 fast bowlers, and I want them to get stuck in. Like Mark Wood bowls at 90 miles an hour and never says boo to a goose. I want him to run through.
Are you guys going to come to Australia?
Well, if you're paying, Norman.
Oh, here we go.
Chris wants to share the profits, Norm. So you can buy him a flight with his share of the business.
Yeah, we'll just take.
I'm
we'll
having
like Chris
problems
then.
with my tuning. Hang on, something's wrong. There's some bullshit coming out. I don't think it's real English. Some
You
bullshit.
can't
coming
swear,
out there.
Norman. That'll lose all my followers I've gained for you, swearing.
We haven't got Alan Mullally on. Don't worry, he's probably listening. Anyway, it's nothing. All right, okay. All right, guys, thanks a lot. It's been fantastic. Again, at the Cricket Club YT is the YouTube channel that we're going to have a lot of fun with over time. It's now a matter of being on the next few games. We'll sort out the time slots. Watch out for the live links. Look out for their channel as well. Go look at Zach Crawley. Go see Sam Billings, Northeast, Southwest, East, West, wherever you got on there. All those guys are very good to have on. Since when is the person called Northeast? Where did that come from? Did the parents get a bit confused? Was one North, one East, or what was the story? Was it Mrs.
I
North
don't know,
and
Norman,
Mr.
but
East?
if we, I mean, Kochanak's not particularly run of the mill surname either, is it?
I'm sorry. If you look up your Polish dictionary, by the way, what does it mean? Do you know, Karl?
No, I was already looking forward to the answer, Norm, before you stopped.
Well, Kochanek, although I'm Australian, my parents were German, actually means lover. Don't forget that. All right.
So the two founding members of Eyes on Sports are both lovers, yourself and Chris.
Sorry, founding. Oh. Well, one's a lover, one's a wannabe lover. It's probably the right way of looking at it. Yeah, Mr. Wannabe Lover. I won't. Is that what you said, Chris? That's what Vernon means, isn't it? Wannabe Lover, Vernon.
It's a different podcast, Norm. But we
think about it. Think about it. Veracity, non means none, doesn't it?
You guys can keep cracking on. I'm just here to enjoy my cricket podcast and listen to you guys, But how are the rabbits doing? The bunnies doing, Norman?
Haven't started yet. There they are right here. Etc. We've
Bunnies.
already lost two of our best players, and the season hasn't started yet. Would you believe? One's got an Achilles heel and a hamstring. They're both out. Bloody Latrell Mitchell and Cameron Murray. That's there. That was the side that won in 1971. There's Bradman back there. There's the 1948 Invincibles there with Bradman. I should try and get Neil Harvey on one day, who's 96, by the way. The only person living who played with or against Bradman.
Wow.
All right, guys.
Cool.
We'll finish up there. It's been fantastic. Everyone go to the at the Cricket Club YT. We'll have the links all in the videos. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Karl. And we'll see each other in a couple of days.
Pleasure, Norm.
Norman,
Thanks,
sounds good.
everyone.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. Stay on for a second.